win for this. Welcome back, everybody. Semi-final number 2. We have Team EE going up against Diamond Skin, and this is HGC 2017 for Europe, the qualifier, the last one. It is also the last and final best of 5. We have already 7 teams qualified for the league in 2017 for Europe, which is, of course, Fnatic and Dignitas making it to BlizzCon. We had it the first qualifier, 2B's Determined and the Misfits qualify. And then in the second one, it was the Damascus Boys together with Be Genius. Today already, we had the Russian Circus qualify as well. And now one of these 2 teams in this best of 3 series is going to make it into the league as well. There's $100,000 available to every team that makes it through the entire year, just as more of an attendance fee. So that's a huge amount of money already for all of these players. Definitely a life-changing amount, since that allows them to focus completely on esports, completely to Heroes of the Storm, since it's only baseline. It's only to allow you to make it your priority, whereas prize money, team salary still comes on top of that. So this is, of course, what all of these guys have been working for a long time. I'm Carlo, and with me is Tetcha, and we're gonna give you the coverage here today with draft and also, of course, the in-game commentary.
And starting with the drafts, we have an Abathur ban from Diamond Skin, very focused against Excelente Eleccion, which is EE on this draft screen for the moment, whereas they banned out the ETC and picked up the Tyrael as their first.
One thing that we have to point out here as well is that this is the second semi-final, the second best of 5 that is being played. The grand final will not be played, since of course 2 teams through the qualifier make it into the league next year. So if you win this series, you're through. Variant is allowed. He can be played, but there's no picture for him in the draft tool that's being used here, so it's going to be like a blank one. We're going to mention it, though, when it happens. And I also want to point out real quickly that these 2 teams play the second one. So there was a best of 5 before that, where they could actually just simply look up drafts and really prepare for the series. So we will see a couple of bans coming in that are really target bans, which is one of the things that, for example, Abathur could already represent here.
Yep, we've seen both these teams. These teams have scrimmed a little bit as well before this qualifier when they're on different sides of the bracket. So we're seeing the Li Ming and the Brightwing. So they have the global, they have a decent support, but Malfurion being ignored.
Yeah, Malf actually not taken. It's kind of interesting to come from like a series where Malfurion has been such a high priority to a series where in the first draft he's completely just ignored, at least for the start. But in this particular setup right now, we have Brightwing, of course, for the global mobility. And I have to admit that I don't even know what the map is. Usually it's displayed here, but we have a lobby up, so I'm going to double check that real quickly so that we can make a bit more sense out of these. It's Warhead Junction.
It is, which is a map we have not seen yet, which is going to be very interesting.
This is actually really interesting as a map, because there's a lot of players, when you talk to them, like, a lot of these players fully admit that when it comes to Warhead Junction, they have no idea how to play it. They're saying, like, the map is so weird, I'm not quite sure what I should prioritize here, how we should rotate in this. And it is very transparent in any kind of games that we've seen so far. It can oftentimes be very chaotic, but I think the one thing we can agree on is that global mobility overall is great on this map, which is why I'm personally a bit surprised, especially considering the priority throughout this qualifier and the last one, that we haven't seen Dehaka yet in the draft.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. Teams not wanting to go for him in this particular case. Diamond Skin, with the ban and the second stage bans, still considering their options right now, running down their time pool very severely, but they're kind of limited for options because EE has gone so varied with their first couple picks. They've really not given anything away. They've done a very good job. But Diamond Skin, they've seen them play before, going to ban out that Zeratul.
Zeratul banned at this point, and here's a ban also on Tassada to make sure. This is basically a soft ban against any kind of tracer composition that can be played. Diamond Skin has played that in the past a lot. It's the former lineup of E-Punks with Chris. And yeah, right now, making sure that Tracer's not being played on the map where she has a lot of potential to just move around. That's a good decision here. I'm still wondering if we're going to see that Falstad, if we're going to see that Dehaka, if we are seeing a focus on these global abilities that will allow you to capitalize on the big map. Another hero that we haven't seen yet here, we could potentially see the Vikings.
We could see the Vikings giving that global potential. They're very, very nice in terms of being able to pick up a nuke if it just spawns near them, if the enemy team doesn't rotate quick enough with those globals. But globals, there is the Dehaka, finally getting a bit of love from Diamond Skinned here, a little bit further into the draft. And now with that double global, they could even pick up Falstad. to give themselves a 3 global team, and then they just get the resets with Li Ming, which will put them into a really strong position.
It would fit their comp. It would definitely fit for them, having the second damage dealer here with the more of an auto attack focus. Besides that, I mean, other heroes, we still have good frontliners available. Muradin, for example, was neither picked nor banned. So if you want to have a strong frontliner next to the Haka, you can do that. The Haka has been in several positions also played as a solo tank, so he can do that for sure. And yep, there we have them. Full global on the side of Diamond Skin. I'm a little bit worried for AE at this point. Of course, their own setup is great. It's just that on this map, the question is really, how much can the opponent just play around you, but by utilizing the global heroes they have? Because there's no one available anymore, and that is going to be a massive problem. Also, we talked a bit about the Lost Vikings. I don't think that EE has any chance of playing the Vikings here, considering how many global heroes are playing against them. That would just be a hunt for Vikings like all day long.
Yeah. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, the opposite end to the Vikings, which is multiple heroes played by one person, this isn't a terrible draft for Cho'Gall for EE, if that's what they wanted to go for. However, second tank still available for Diamond Skin. We could see the Leoric or something with percentage damage as the final pick, but no Cho'Gall, sad times. He's a bit worse in this map anyway, since it's only one body as opposed to two, which could be picking up nukes.
Yeah.
Instead, solid final picks here, the Thrall and the Sylvanas.
Elaborate for a second why you think that Cho'Gall would actually be decent on the map, because I
don't think he's decent on the map, I think he's decent with their comp. That's why I said he doesn't work
okay, because
he's one body comp.
I'm on the completely opposite side of the argument there. I really think it would be a horrible choice for them, because I would be very afraid of the globals just playing completely around them. And if you can't force the opponent to the fight, I would be very afraid that Diamond Skin's taking them out there. I mean, in the end, it's a moot point anyway, since, as you already pointed out, the heroes that were chosen here are Thrall and Sylvanas. But again, does that worry you that we have like no real global potential here for EE?
It does worry me. It worries me a lot. In Diamond Skin, they still have a very solid lineup here. They've got good comfort picks for a lot of heroes here. We have Dahaka for Nande, we have the Li Ming for Chris. Overall, they all get to play something that they know they're good at.
So guys, the stage is set for game number 1. We are opening up the best of 5 series with a match between EE and Diamond Skin on Warhead Junction. So let's jump in together and see which team is going to take the lead here in the final match to determine the final team that is going to join us with HGC 2017. All right. Did you see who hosted? I think it was actually not. It was EE.
It was EE on the left.
Okay, cool. Because then I have to adjust the overlay real quickly, and then we're good to go with our first map. But yeah, that lack of global mobility is definitely worrying me a little bit for them.
Yeah, they have a good amount of push potential if they stay grouped together. EE do, but Diamond Skin relies on hopefully not making them stay together and getting value in the other lanes. But if EE does group, then Diamond Skin don't have a huge amount of answers to it.
I mean, Sylvanas definitely helps a little bit, I feel. It can apply a lot of pressure if you take like a boss and push through with boss. Your opponent, no matter how many globals they have, will have to play. Yeah. They will have at least to face the threat.
Doesn't matter how many lanes you are soaking if one of your lanes gets absolutely annihilated, and that could be where EE gets the advantage here. But once again, the globals just get so much value here mainly because of the nukes. The nukes, the most powerful thing on this map. So being able to just rotate to a lane after like grabbing one in the first phase where there's 2 nuke spawns, grabbing the one in the mid or top lane, whichever way it spawns, and then flying down to bot lane can just be absolutely game changing. Fly, burrow, teleport, and then you get both nukes at the start. You can pretty much blow up a fort very early in the game.
Yeah. It's also one of the reasons why I'm a little bit... I'm actually surprised this is our first map. I could have seen that coming in as map 5, you know, when you run out of options and like nobody banned it out. It's just like,
we gotta play this. Gotta play Summon.
But yeah, someone... I wonder if that is a map that nobody just like banned because they said like you ban it and then like... You know that it was a bit of more of a coincidence, or if it was really a team practicing a lot of this map and saying like, hey, we want to play this first to open it up. That could have happened here. Unfortunately, we weren't part of the map draft, so we can't really talk about that. Yeah. But we will definitely see the result. And yeah, that's starting up now since we are starting to head into the game. But yeah, I'm actually very interested to see how Warhead Junction is going to be played by the two of them. And this should be a great series. Game number 1, ladies and gentlemen, in the series has started. It is the HGC 2017 qualifier. It's the last game that we're ever going to see for qualification. One of these two teams will make it. A best of 5 starting off on Warhead Junction. To the left side, BKB on Tyrael for EE. We have Pequeno Paquete on Malfurion, Celium on Tychus, Zelia on Sylvanas, and Zarmony is playing Thrall. These boys have been waiting a long time for this since we had our first semifinal playing first, where the Russian Circus qualified against Jabronis with a 3-2 victory. To the right side of the map, we have Diamond Skin, the team with Chris on Muradin, Nandon Dehaka, Wolfjo on Brightwing, a Raid Boss on Falset, and Chris playing Li Ming, focusing heavily on the global mobility of their heroes.
And we'll have to see how EE chooses to answer this. Right now, they choose to answer it by chilling in the top lane and waiting for Wolfjo to overextend. If Grapaketa did move up, he might be able to root him here. And here comes Dehaka as well. Tyrael is the one who moves up.
Double money pick. Just saying. Double money pick.
Double money pick and a nice epic wolf there. Pretty cool.
I'm not really sold on the wolf, but Zelia and BKB definitely have a special place in my heart right now that I've seen them on choice. I totally agree with that. There's no traps though. Jokes aside for a moment, like they were setting the trap at the top lane as you already elaborated, but neither Nanden nor Wolfjo made the mistake of just simply face checking the bush there.
Yeah, and even if they hadn't face checked the bush, they might have been able to land the roots and just push into the lane, but safe play saved lives, and that's what they were able to do there. They were able to save their lane, and now they've been able to rotate Li Ming up to make the lane numbers even.
Yeah, Volleyball Li Ming is already in there. We have stacking with the perfect storm, the Gathering Storm taken on the side of Raid Boss, so not going into any kind of auto attack shenanigans like we've seen with the Russian Circus in the last map. But it's a bit of a team fight happening over the vision at the center of the map right now, with EE deciding to move back, but they could fall into the trap as Zelium dashes away, but still gets stunned out and blown to pieces.
Yeah, I heard you like hammers there, Tychus. He gets taken down very quickly by the Stormbolt and the Hammerang, and Li Ming was able to escape. She did take a lot of harassment due to the fact that Tychus knew he was dead, so it was just turned around and just tried to mow down the majority of Quintus Cells to force him to use the Fountain, which he did.
So at this point, once again, we're having both the teams heading into level 4. It's not really too much of a problem losing a hero in the early stage of the game if you have more than that one hero on lane, which was the case here. We're seeing Grand Paquete double-checking the bush up to the top lane. They simply let one of the nukes go. They focus on the bot lane for now. Bosses are going to spawn at the bot and at the top lane, so those are the two that can be pushed with the help of bosses as well. But they are the globals that we've been talking about, and all of a sudden it's a 4 versus 3 at the bot lane.
Nanda's taken a lot of damage though. He has to pull back to the Fountain. It's become a 4 versus 4 now because the Globals didn't take advantage by pushing in aggressively because of the amount of damage that was on the board. Muradin sneaking in from behind. Tyrael on the way, but if they can get the kill before he arrives, this might change it. The good polymorph to prevent the Haunting Wave, and they do get Sylvanas here. BKB now taking a lot of damage. He's able to pull back, but now it's a 5 versus 4.
EE losing 2 heroes in the game, and they also are about to lose the second nuke. So 2 nukes against them, 2 kills against them. Not the start that the team was hoping for. And we're talking about a bit of an all-star team that has been doing very well in the past. All of these players have been to offline events already. But of course the E-Punks themselves showing their skills throughout the second half of 2016.
First nuke already used in the bottom lane, taking down the towers and the fountain. Second nuke, going to be focused. It will guarantee that tower on the right there, and will also bring the fort down to less than half health. Explosion jumping over the wall here, as there are a lot of heroes there that he did not expect. So he's just going to be forced to take a little bit of harassment from Cilium's minigun, but overall he gets out safely.
Yeah, and talking about harassment, we have to the top lane Zarmony getting really chunked down here by Nanda on his Dehaka. So Sylvanas is of course going to try and give the team a bit of value thanks to her being able to go for these camps quite early in the game. One has already been taken, but there's a follow-up attack against Grand Paquete, who's immediately being locked down by a Stormbolt. They go for Crisplosion. There's no kill against him. Very aggressive style that is being played right now by the team in red, and they are doing very well. Diamond Skin is opening this entire best of 5 series up with a bang.
Yeah, they're doing very, very well at the moment. Nanda finally starting to lose a little bit against Zarmony. Zarmony finally getting that full sustain to work in his favour here, but he needs to be careful not to Drax, or that could turn around very, very quickly. And in the bot lane, Brightwing gonna struggle a little bit against Sylvanas here, but Sylvanas shows herself, which she does now, and begins to continue to push up that lane, especially seeing the Merc camp has just arrived.
Now we have Skullcracker taken on level 7. We're seeing now the Barb Shot coming in after Lost Soul. Tyrael goes down. This is starting to become really a huge problem. They're losing Zarmony now too. They are getting wrecked. I mean, this is them getting destroyed in this early game. They lost both nukes. They lost 5 heroes already. They're at this point a level behind. The draft is struggling with the opponent just having that global mobility that allows them to jump from one side of the map to the other within moments. The EE has to change this fast because the momentum is completely spiraling out of control against them.
Yeah, they got to do something, because right now, like you said, it's just drifting away from them, while Diamond Skin begins to snowball away with this. 5 kills to 0, level 9 to what is about to be level 8, and a Mercenary Camp pushing in for Diamond Skin to counter-push the one that was taken earlier for EE.
Like the aggression of Diamond Skin here, once again going for the Tyrael, and BKB barely survived. This roaming squad that we have set up for Diamond Skin works wonders for them. They're doing really well with it. Now we have 4 nukes appearing on the map, and that's of course once again where the global mobility can shine. And level 10 is so close already. 5 kills against 0, that's giving you a massive lead in EXP.
Yeah, and they're still soaking almost every lane. The only reason they're not soaking mid is because the minions haven't arrived yet. Nanda attempted to do top, denied via grenade, but 2 nukes out of the 4, about to be 3 thanks to Brightwing, already going over to Diamond Skin, and Nanda delaying top. If they could get all 4, that's going to be devastating. Nanda gets rooted though, and just lets BKB take it.
But even 3 are a problem, and they're dropped now in the middle and at the bot lane. So there's another 2 towers gone. Welcome level 10. Welcome heroic abilities. Raid Boss is already starting to focus down the fort over here. Zarmony is trying to deal with it. Nuke blown up at the top at least delivers a bit of experience to EE. But Diamond Skin is running the show for now. Level 10 abilities could change that, but they are 2 level ahead already.
Yeah, Diamond Skin also keeping hold of one of their nukes here, just in case they need it for any kind of situation, if they want to go for a very aggressive push, or in case they need it for a boss fight or even a team fight, if they can get the good crowd control now that they have their heroics. Like we did say earlier, the aggressive rotation stop coming in from Diamond Skin, not able to get the kill, but enough to slow down the rotations out of EE and prevent them from getting between the lanes like they'd like to.
Now again, EE plays one of the biggest maps in the pool, if not the biggest, and they allowed the opponent to pick up 3 global mobility heroes without using a single one for themselves. If they can force the team fights, then we're going to see a very different play, of course, especially since we have heroic abilities now for both of the teams. But they need to make sure that they are forcing something where they have a bit of an advantage, because right now they're getting very much outplayed. If they can force a battle with a 5 versus 5, they have definitely the tools available to them to win these team fights. But they need to make sure that Diamond Skin is just simply playing circles around them, because so far Diamond Skin has been playing a fantastic game.
But the team fight potential is huge now with these heroics, but they need to make something happen with it. They need to fight as a group, they need to fight aggressively. Right now, they're moving to the bot lane. Oh my god, what? They're aggroing the boss, they're starting it. Meridian will see this. Nanda can burrow down. Remember, there is still a nuke available here for Falstad.
Yeah, Falstad has a nuke. That's a huge problem, or could be. The fight is starting here, but we have a sanctification now. That's of course another thing that you can definitely use here. But they're letting this go. They're actually seeing, okay, are we going to go for it? What are we doing? But the Haka is going to come down for this, and they are starting to play around the opponent a little bit. Zarmony is still on the boss. Keep his Earthquake in mind. They need a team fight, and they are looking for an opportunity to take that. There's also the Mighty Gust to consider. It's not only about the nuke. Mighty Gust is there. Here comes the nuke. They're jumping in. Sank is on the ground. Earthquake is being used as well. Malfurion is in trouble. The nuke goes down. Silence is through. Mighty Gust for the disengage, and we have Tyrael jumping into the backline for just a moment. The boss is at full health once again. BKB on the wrong side of the battle, trying to escape here. They're chasing him down, and the rest of the team is trying to cover his retreat. They are very likely to actually save him here. But another issue is that the bot lane has been pressured by a camp throughout this entire battle.
Yeah, very, very nicely done there. That was such a passive fight from both teams. They were like, let's keep the boss aggro, just leave it for as long as possible. The nuke was used, got some good damage, but no kills for either team here. Falstad will guarantee this bot nuke. He does have that acquired now. He can come up to rejoin his team in this fight over the nuke in the mid lane. But we're seeing a slightly more passive playstyle from Diamond Skin now that level 10s are available for EE.
Well, that drag going for the drag. BKB nearly falling. He's willing to sacrifice himself if need be, and that could confirm a kill, but no! Chrisplosion jumps away, survives barely. They just don't get any kills. It's 6 kills against 0, and they just can't make anything happen here. Tyrael is completely okay falling in these fights if he gets value with the explosion, and they can capitalize on that, but they are far from accomplishing that.
Yeah, and they dropped Chrisplosion down very high, which might have forced about the fight if he was anyone that wasn't Muradin. He's now going to just completely heal back up, back to his trait, and a little bit of Wolf Joe here. They have 2 nukes available, and they're not even going to use them on this mid lane. They have minions here. They're going to finish off this fort. Oh god, Valsec, get out of there. There we go.
Yeah. Like, I'm really trying to figure out what the thought process of EE was heading into this draft on this map. And the only thing that I can really come up with is that they wanted to fight the team fights. And them going for the boss just basically tells me that that assumption is right on the money. The nuke, I feel, changed the battle since they are totally willing to deal with the Mighty Gust, but the nuke itself was something where Tyrael already had to drop his Sanctification, and I think he wanted to use that a little bit later. He also didn't time it perfectly. So right now, for me, it just says, hey, get 13, try to force a team fight. But the issue here is if they lose a team fight, they are done for. And they can never contest anything like this, like the boss being taken right now, simply because Tyrael has absolutely no option of moving down to the bot lane in time, whereas the Haka can just simply burrow through.
Yep, Great Boss actually takes a little bit of baiting damage, but like you said, too late. No way to contest it, no way to get down in time, and that's going to be the first boss of the game, going over to Diamond Skin, where they're going to push in. They still have these 2 nukes, so they're headed right to the keeps, boys.
The one thing, there's only one way for EA, I feel, to get back in this. Win a team fight and get Sylvanas value. Outside of that, I think they are totally screwed. So, let's see how that works out for them. They go for the boss. There comes, I think the Haka is going to join us really soon. As you said, 2 nukes are still available. So, they are starting to move in. Chrisplosion is trying to get an early lockdown against someone to maybe get even a kill here. 13 isn't there yet. They're nearly 3 levels ahead. They are 3 levels ahead.
Yeah, they're 3 levels ahead. There's the nuke, first one, clearing up the minion wave, so there's not going to be a huge amount of defense here. Minions getting disabled by Sylvanas though. Second nuke going to be dropping onto that keep. And with the boss combined with that second nuke, this keep probably going to go down, but Sylvanas going to try and prevent that.
16 versus 13 talents. The keep survives, which is crazy in itself. And the Haka has never moved down to the bot lane. He always stayed at the top, pushed that in, and simply said like, well, we're gonna get 16, have fun with that. And that is Tyrael about to fall, jumps in again, dies, will try to get the trade value, and does get the damage in, but it's not enough for a kill. Again, Chrisplosion jumping out. It's a double kill against them. EE is... I'm gonna be absolutely blunt here. This is more than disappointing what we're currently seeing from them.
Yeah, they're getting kind of wrecked here. They're dropping so many heroes low and getting nothing from it every single time here. So, level 16, like we said, available for Diamond Skin right now. We're seeing Chris going with Fireflies. We see him do this every now and again. One of the only people who actually seems to every now and again. Crit Rise for Brightwing because blowing up heroes works very well. Let's keep doing it. The Elongated Tongue and the Heavy Impact.
The Diamond Skin plays fantastic here. I mean, Chris has been chunking out the damage the entire time. He's doing very well. He's at 23,000. Chrisplosion is just simply not dying. No matter how much they engage for him, he just keeps himself alive here. We had that entire global potential. This is another big battle with a talent disadvantage for EE. So once again, Chrisplosion jumping in. The Haka is already in there. Of course, we are seeing the stuns. Nice move with the Sanctification. Maybe now a kill. Nanda falls. There is a nuke on the ground. Another one being used by Raid Boss already. They're starting to move away. A few heroics are still available. One of them being the drill. So that can be used. The interrupt is there. Maybe that's the time for the momentum. But again, Diamond Skin playing extremely well, and they want nuke number 2.
They want to pick it up. They dropped a nuke to basically pick up another nuke to just prevent it from going over to EE, because if EE start picking up nukes, then that's going to be difficult for Diamond Skin to play against, because they've controlled them so well so far in this game. But continuous denial here coming in from EE. They're in control of the nuke area for both nukes here, but they're slowly being pushed back by Diamond Skin, and Wolf Joe finally picks it up.
Wolf Joe picks it up, they're pushing them back, and they are down 1 player. They are just capitalizing on the fact that they have the extra talent and the kill potential. Barely Zelia getting out of there, thanks to the cleanse that Grand Paquette dropped. But now with Nande coming back into this, it's a 5 versus 5 once again. And they are starting to chase. So they get both nukes here. Level 16 isn't ready. And they're just capitalizing on the fact that they get advantage over advantage with talents, with global soak. They haven't lost a fort yet. They are playing such a great, incredible game. The draft is working so well for them. Massive mistakes by EE to let all of these globals go.
Yeah, and I would also like to point out that the Wailing Arrow was denied there due to the fact that Sylvanas was polymorph, so she fired it out and then couldn't explode it on any of the heroes, thanks to that. Nuke being used up here at the top lane to guarantee this boss. They still have one on Wolf Joe and on Chrisplosion, so they're able to burn one here, but in come EE. One last fight here. BKB jumps onto the point, he's polymorph, he gets the sack though, they'd steal the boss!
This could be it. Boss is stolen and it's the end of Muradin. Now Raid Boss is low. They are starting to chase Nande. This could really be the one thing that brought them back into the game. Sylvanas has to get them value right now, and they know it. They need to make sure that this boss is pressuring hard. And they have the 16 talent. This is really the moment where they need to get massive amounts of value. Ideally and a keep. They're starting to move in. They have one nuke at least. That's a big win. They're going for a camp now as well. They blasted away. They know that they have an advantage. Nande already moved back. They're not finishing the camp though. They're actually deciding to let that one minion just move straight through. But they have at this point a nuke going in. They disable the structures. This is EE's chance to not completely being destroyed in this game.
They're moving in. The keep is disabled. The single tower is still attacking at the boss though, but the keep does go down. And surprisingly, despite how bot lane went, that's the first keep of the game, but the minion wave in the bot lane is going to pretty much guarantee that second keep unless they be back instantly, because the minion wave from the bot lane will hold it for just a little bit. But Sylvanas heading back. Will she get there in time? Maybe.
It could happen.
Go, Zalia. Go. Go.
Hit the dagger. And there we go. And it's so close, but she's actually going to save it. So,
wow.
Okay, let's talk about this a bit. We've been saying from the start they need to win a big battle and they need to capitalize on Sylvanas. They've done that. They have fallen way farther behind before it happened, though, than I thought would be the case. Do you think they can make it back? Because even with a keep being destroyed, I would still give a massive advantage to Diamond Skin. It could change everything, though, if they grab a second boss. And let's keep in mind they have 16 talents both. There's no 20 yet.
It could absolutely be. Like, they're still in such a rough position. But Catapult's are good, man. And so are bosses. And they now have... They got both, and they want a second boss, at least. But Diamond Skin putting up too much pressure. Even talents for the moment. So probably, if they do want to make a play, they should do it soon. But the nuke is going to be where they do it, not under the boss, where the boss could kill them off.
One of the reasons why I'm actually not too worried about the one keep falling is that with all the globals, we see the Haka pushing out that lane so aggressively that the catapults will need ages to really arrive at the core. So that doesn't worry me too much for Diamond Skin right now. I really think that they have still all the trump cards in their hand. Losing the keep is a problem. Getting annihilated at that boss was an issue. They lost 2 heroes there, but they still have level 20 so much faster. And this is another play for a boss, and if it doesn't work, this is desperation move. The 20 is there. They know they have the Sanctification. They have the Twilight Dream. The drill is already on the ground. They know that they have to win it here now.
They need to get that sack. They use the Holy Ground. They guarantee the boss. That is the second boss of the game. Zarmany in full retreat. Chris trying to chase him down to get at least a kill. They get the kill with Raid Boss flying in as well with that epic mount, because they already have 20, and Grand Paqueta dies too.
Yeah, Grand Paqueta somehow is still alive. I don't even know how he did it, because to be quite honest, I saw him die like 3 times in my personal opinion. But still, this is a keep against them. Question is, can you core? Because there are not going to be a lot of minions that are going to help you out in any way. The boss is going to push through the bot lane. They are trying to core here. They have one nuke.
They're going to use it, but the defensive nuke coming in here for EE. They want to try and defend it. Here's the offensive nuke. Chrisplosion getting focused down, though. He's having to pull back. There's the Storm Shield from Brightwing, and the core melts Caldor. That is GG.
The core melts down, and this is going to be the end of it. We are seeing Diamond Skin win a convincing game number 1 and taking the lead in the best of 5.